Introduction to Algebra Part 6, Multiplication and Parentheses. At the end of this lesson, you will understand how multiplication with parentheses works and be able to multiply equations where you have multiplications with parentheses. When you have two items that are parentheses multiplied together, like say the equation parentheses 3 plus 4 times parentheses 5 plus 6, we can use what's called distributive multiplication or the distributive property to multiply it. Now we could just take 3 plus 4, which is 7, and 5 plus 6, which is 11, and multiply them together, and that gives us 77. But now let's do the following instead. Let's take each item in the first parentheses times the second parentheses and add them together. So we take 3, the first item in the first parentheses, times 5, the first item in the second parentheses, plus 3, the first item in the first entry, times 6, the second item in the second entry, plus 4, the second item times the first item, 5, plus 4 times 6. So we have 3 times 5, the first item, plus 3 times 6, the second item, plus 4 times 5, plus 4 times 6. And that gives us 15 plus 18 plus 20 plus 24. Well, 15 plus 18 is 33, plus 20 plus 24 is 44. And if we add 33 and 44 together, you'll notice we get the same number, 77. Now remember, we can do this with subtraction as well, because subtracting the number is the equivalent of adding the negative number. So 3 minus 4 is the same as 3 plus negative 4. So now let's take 5 minus 3 times 4 minus 4. Well, we take 5 times 4, the first two together, plus 5 times negative 4, plus negative 3 times 4, plus negative 3 times negative 4, which gives us 20 minus 20 minus 12 plus 12 equals 0. And you'll notice if you take 5 minus 3, that's 2, and 4 minus 4 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So you can do it with subtraction as well. So the question is, why is this important? Can't we just do the stuff inside the parentheses and outside the parentheses like we've always done? Well, the reason is because we can do the same thing with variables. Take x plus 5 in parentheses times x minus 4. Well, we take x times x plus x times negative 4 plus 5 times x plus 5 times negative 4, and we get x squared minus 4x plus 5x minus 20, and that's x squared plus x minus 20. Now just to check it, let's say x equals 4. Well, we have 4 plus 5 is 9, and 4 minus 4 is 0, so that's 0. We also can say 4 squared is 16, plus 4 is 20, minus 20 is 0. So you can see here that we can take these variables and separate them out very simply. Now we can also do the reverse. So take x squared plus 5x plus 6. Now we know that we need x squared, so our first set of the parentheses is going to be x and x. Now for 6, how can we do 6? Well, we can do 6 times 1, or we could do 3 times 2. And we want a total of 5. So we know that 6 and 1, really 6 times 1 doesn't equal 5. But we know that 6 plus 1 doesn't equal 5. But we do know that 3 plus 2 equals 5. So we say, okay, let's take x plus 3 times x plus 2. Now, that's x squared plus 3x plus 2x, which is 5x plus 6. So you see here we've taken that x squared plus 5x plus 6 and separated it out into two equations. Now, what happens if x is 4? Well, we take 4 plus 3, that's 7, times 4 plus 2 is 6. So we have 7 times 6, which is 42. Now, if we go back to our original equation, we take 4 squared, that's 16, plus 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 6. 16 plus 2 is 36, plus 6 is 42. So you see here we can take complex equations like x squared plus 5x plus 6 and separate them out into a series of parentheses. So why is this important? Let's take the equation x squared plus 5x plus 6. That's from the previous page, and say it equals 0. Well, we know here now we've got x plus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0. Now, we know that when you multiply something by 0, that's 0. So we can say x plus 3 equals 0 divided by x plus 2. That's one option. And we solve it, and we say x equals 0 over x plus 2, which is anything divided by, or 0 divided by anything is going to be 0, minus 3, so we know that x can be negative 3. We can also say x plus 2 is equal to 0 divided by x plus 3. Remember, we're dividing by x plus 3. Now, that means x equals 0 divided by x plus 3 minus 2, which means x can also equal negative 2. So now we have an equation where x can have two different values. Now let's look at them. The first one is x equals negative 3. Well, we take negative 3 squared, that's negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, plus 5 times negative 3 is negative 15, so that's negative 6, plus 6 equals 0. Now, does it work for negative 2? Well, we take negative 2 squared, which is 4, plus 5 times negative 2, which is negative 10, which gives us negative 6, plus 6 is 0. So you see here, in this case, the equation x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0 has two possible values, negative 3 or alternatively negative 2. So let's do some questions. Write the following four equations using the distribution method of multiplication. That's where you write it out as multiplying each of the four numbers together. We've got 4 plus 3 times 5 plus 7. 5 minus 2 times 6 plus 3. 12 plus 5 times 4 minus 3. And finally, 12x plus 11 times 5 minus 4. Now, I want you to calculate the actual values for the first three after you're done. Okay, now let's take the next one. We have 4x plus 20 times 3x minus 9 equals 0. What are the possible values for x? Now, also, using the distributed method of multiplication that we've been using, rewrite this equation without parentheses. Now, our second question is a little bit harder. We're going to take x squared minus 5x plus 6. Rewrite this equation using parentheses, and after you've done that, what are the possible values of x? Okay, let's go through some answers. The first one, 4 plus 3 times 5 plus 7. Well, we've got 4 plus 5, the two first, that's 20, plus 4 times 7, the first one times the second one, plus 3 times 5, 15, that's the third one, plus 7 times 3, 21. So we get 20 plus 28 plus 15 plus 21. Now, in the second one, we have 5 minus 2 times 6 plus 3. We have 5 times 6, which is 30, plus 5 times 3, which is 15, minus 2 times 6. Remember, it's negative 2, so it's minus 12. And we have minus 6, negative 2 times 3, so negative 6. On our third one, we have 12 plus 5 times 4 minus 3. 12 times 4 is 48, minus 12 times a negative 3. Remember, it's plus a negative is the same as a subtraction, so minus 36, plus 5 times 4, that's 20, minus, that's 5 times a negative 3 is negative 15. So we have 48 minus 36 plus 20 minus 15. Now let's take our last one, 12x plus 11 times 5 minus 4. Now 12x times 5 is 60x, and 12x times negative 4 is negative 48x. So we have 60x minus 48x. Then we have 11 times 5 is 55, and 11 times negative 4 is negative 44. So we have 12x plus 11. Okay, this last one's pretty hard. Let's take 4x plus 20 times 3x minus 9 equals 0, and what are the possible values for x? Well, we've got 4x times 20 times 3x minus 9. Well, let's divide both sides by 3x minus 9. And we've got 4x plus 20 is equal to 0 over 3x minus 9. Now, 0 divided by anything is always 0. And so we have 4x equals 0 over 3x minus 9 minus 20, and we have x equals negative 5. Now we can also say 3x minus 9 equals 0 divided by 4x plus 20. Again, remember, anything divided by 0 is 0. Now we have 3x equals 0 over 4x plus 20 plus 9. X is 3. So we have two possible values for x, -5 and 3. And you can try them in that equation above and see how it works. Now our second one is using the distributed method of multiplication, rewrite the equation. Well, 12x squared minus 30x plus 60x minus 80. So how do we get there? 4x times 3x is 12x squared. 4x times -9 is negative 36x. 20 times 3x is 60x, and then 20 times -9 is negative 180. Now we can combine the negative 36x and the 60x, and we get 12x squared plus 24x minus 180. That's our first one. Now let's take the second question, x squared minus 5x plus 6, and we want to rewrite this in terms of parentheses. Now we need two numbers that multiply together as 6 that we can add them together and they equal 5. So we have x minus 3 times x minus 2, because we know that -3 times -2 is positive 6, but -3 plus -2 is -5. So now we multiply it, and you'll see here we've got x squared, and then we have -2x and -3x, that's -5x, and we have 6. So now we say, what are the possible values for x when this is 0? Well, that would be x equals 3, or alternatively, x equals 2. I hope you enjoyed this video.